There's just been a handful of these types of games on smartphones, simply known as endless runners. Chances are you've probably played maybe one or two of them when you were concerned with having some time to pass, and when you weren't concerned with having responsibilities. Developed by Subject Matter Games, Super Wall Crash is a procedurally generated, randomly infinite runner. Now, the first thing that sticks out about Super Wall Crash, to me at least, are the walls themselves. You see, the game naturally encourages you to dodge obstacles like you'd normally expect, but at the same time, it also lets you know that running into specific walls will give you rewards. It starts off pretty normally from the moment you begin your run. You're slowly jogging your way through trees and bushes and whatnot, but soon enough, you'll encounter a row of vertically shaped walls, each of them with different patterns. And unlike running into any other obstacle, which would normally make you take damage or lose health, these walls actually give you bonuses, like more health, bonus points, a faster running speed, and even more coins. Yeah, how many times can you say that you ran into a wall and got paid for it? I mean, only in this game, man. Only in this game. This is actually a really great kind of risk versus reward system that resembles checkpoints of sorts. For one thing, well, let's face it, walls in video games have only been known as a blockade, a restriction, something that just heeds your progress or stops any kind of momentum whatsoever. But because this game in particular is a game that promotes destruction right from the description, heck, even the title, it doesn't have to worry about any of that. A good indicator of this is how you basically run into stuff without ever slowing down, regardless of your speed. And usually to compensate for this, too many free-to-play games offer you power-ups sparingly or at worst by a paywall, because, well, they don't want you to break the game or have any kind of freedom. But Super Wall Crash offers rewards and effects consistently thanks to the inclusion of these kinds of walls, and it lets the players choose for themselves. Do you want to rack up the points or the coins, or do you want to live dangerously and boost your speed? Well, it's all offered to you on a silver platter, which is an attitude I rarely see free-to-play games take. I do like that. But that's not even the best part of these walls. It's not just the game's one unique feature that just defies all conventional behavior of walls in video games, but it also acts as a border towards different worlds that the game has to offer. So the one attribute that follows most endless runners is how you're essentially playing through one continuous level, a temple, a railroad track, seaside hills from Sonic Heroes. While the placement of objects changes throughout the duration of the game, the scenery and what you face certainly doesn't, making it nothing short of repetitive. Super Wall Crash, on the other hand, has multiple levels with a wide variety of obstacles, from an ice world with toboggans and snowmen to a Chinese garden with bonsai trees and temples. Every world feels like its own uniquely themed level that hardly feels like a template. Okay, look, they always taught us in high school English class that theme can be described in more than one word. So there you go, here's like a million words. 10 out of 10, most literate YouTuber ever made. One level in particular stood out to me the most. This desert level has your typical cacti, and you know, some broken pieces of wood here and there, but for the first time, the game actually presents to you a physically moving enemy. These skeletons just home into your character from the moment you smash through that wall. It's exciting. If you're going through fast speeds, you're gonna have a bad time. It tests your reflexes, but in a much different way than the beginning grass level does. Every level may not do something different, but they feel different. Some levels feel really boxed in and claustrophobic, while others give you a lot of leeway to explore. And yes, this legitimately feels like an endless runner game where you can explore, because the worlds actually do extend beyond the screen the further you go left or the further you go right. And this is all in part to how the game is procedurally generated, meaning that the placement of obstacles, the order of levels, and basically everything is generated at random. This essentially means that no two runs of the game are ever going to be the same. Some of us could be running through the grass world at high speeds, getting strawberry bushes shoved up our mouths in one run, while others would be running in the midst of a smoldering crater while there's a disturbing amount of skeleton heads on the floor. Talk about a Sunday jog. The way I see the addiction and the appeal to these kind of games, endless runners always have that just one more run quality that just makes them ridiculously replayable to a lot of people. But because this game does reward you with variety instead of just forcing you to play through more of the same thing, there's much more of an incentive to stick around. There's variety, but there also comes encouragement to that variety, from a wall of all things. The game also has this really neat looking low poly voxel aesthetic that looks really nice. For those who don't know what those words I just said were, basically think of points or vertices of a two-dimensional sprite and imagine them having visible polygonal spaces from a 3D perspective. Or, you know, think Minecraft. But this game is nothing like Minecraft, I just want to point that out right now. While the world of Super Wall Crash does appear flat from the ground, it's the cubic art style of obstacles that really help them pop out and give you an idea of where they reside spatially. I even found the playable characters to look pretty cool up close, like as if they're these super fast Lego people who run fast on their feet. Little midget guys. I couldn't unlock most of these guys in the promotional version I was playing, but their names do entertain me quite a bit. Like Hornhelm or Fancy Pants. And don't forget PD! Exclamation mark! The music is also that kind of insanely catchy chiptune music. It sounds fun and cheery enough, until you realize it plays ad infinitum. I guess it's no different to the earworm that Bubble Bobble had to offer, another great arcade game that kept you stuck playing, but hey, the music is all sunshine and lollipops, so it's no biggie. Actually, that's a very solid comparison to make. Considering a lot of the qualities of endless runner games, looking into this game made me realize that there are a lot of arcade game design elements that come into play with most of these free-to-play games. When done right. Things like being addictive, exceptionally fast-paced, and giving the player enough incentive to want to keep playing, because really, these games are endless, there's no clear ending, so why keep them playing a game that they can't win? The answer? It's all a matter of endurance, and seeing a score grow bigger that keeps the player coming back. And I certainly played my fair share of rounds with Super Wall Crash. It's a game that understands its limits and works around the randomization of its elements. I even read an article from the developer talking about how it implemented a mini-engine to provide rapid content on the fly, showing that there was indeed some real thought put into the randomization of the game without it feeling unfair. And if you're able to find shortcuts around developing your game without it feeling lazy or cheap, well, that's just really great programming in my opinion. But even then, the main features and draws of the game are indeed worth mentioning. The wall mechanic is a great incentive to progress and keep playing, and also, this is one of the fastest endless runners I ever played, and it's a nice change of pace and freedom from your typical endless runner game. So what are you waiting for? It's free. Go ahead and pick it up on whatever smartphone device you may have, because I definitely think it's a fun time. It just does a lot of things that you don't see most endless runners do often, which I think makes it stand out as a result. But right now, I want to personally thank the developers at Subject Matter Games, namely one good fellow named Matthew Christian, for giving me a promotional copy of this game for all of you lovely individuals to see today. Obviously, I play this game on a controller compared to like a touchscreen, so I guess my criticisms kind of vary depending on what kind of system you're playing this game on. From what I play, the controller plays really great with this kind of game, so here's hoping for a PC version at some point. And I guess when all is said and done, I should probably point out my kinda inconsistent video schedule at times, because honestly, how do I go from talking about Smash 4 DLC to a free-to-play app game 1 month later? Well, the way I see it, does it really matter whatever system I talk about whatever game on? I certainly don't think so, because really the mobile market has gotten a lot of flack lately for being too casual, too money-grabbing, or not a true gaming handheld, even though there's like 2 of them, and one of them's obsolete. Because really, from the way I see it, in a sea of games that are either really good or really bad, there are always going to be diamonds in the rough, and Super Wall Crash is definitely one of them.